Hello, and welcome to this week's video blog from the Center for Human Awakening. My name is Rob Meager. I'm co-founder of the center. This week, I'll share another reading from Richard Harvey's book, Your Essential Self. And our reading this video blog is titled, The Baggage of Inner Characters. Inner exploration shows us that an individual is not one self, but several. Although you and I have come to see ourselves as homogeneous entities with a central core or self, in fact, each of us is a collection of satellites revolving around a space, an inner core or essence. This means that our decisions are subject to inner responses and varying views that we experience as indecision, deliberation, and conflict. Our individual character is the sum of many different parts. While we may never feel more alone than when we are in a crowd, we may never be more in a crowd than when we are alone. Within us are all the people, parents, teachers, and friends, whose opinions, judgments, and criticisms have affected us, and all the influences, conditioning, life events, and character strategies that have shaped us and given form to our personalities. Our inner world is filled with the images and voices of characters who express the many diverse aspects of our personality. But to discover our authentic self, we need to see behind the opaque screen of inner characters that prevents us seeing ourselves as we truly are. Our attachment to people and circumstances is dependent and emotional. We want something from them. This restless dynamic means that we can never be at peace with the inner characters that populate our inner world. We need to open our inner eye and work with how we are attached, because we can never become self-referring while we look outward for direction and guidance. The expectations of people from our past, particularly our parents, can be so influential on our psyches that they may dominate our entire life with their inner clamor. Mary's mother was dominating and overbearing. Nothing Mary did would satisfy her. In an attempt to defend herself from feelings of powerlessness, Mary fought back by rebelling. She dressed in ways her mother disapproved of, dated boys her mother disliked, and chose a career her mother despised. She had started this behavior pattern when she was 16. Now she was 42. As her inner work deepened, she made a surprising discovery. Underneath what she believed about herself and her rebellious self-image, she craved her mother's approval. Even deeper, she desperately wanted her mother's apology. Everything she did to destroy her own life was motivated by her desire for that apology. Through inner work, we discover how we have projected different parts of ourselves onto others. Projection is a usually unconscious defense mechanism of the psyche, by which we attribute unwanted or unacceptable thoughts or emotions to others. For example, by blaming someone else for our own failures, we can avoid taking responsibility for our own shortcomings. We look inside and identify the different selves that make up our personality. A throng of interior characters are clustered around our inner essence. These inner characters and their influence wither and diminish when we take responsibility for them and wind our projections back in. Self-exploration begins inside, where outer and inner processes meet. Until we have dealt with our unfinished business, the outer world is merely the reflection of our inner world, so we see the world as we are. Through recognizing and owning the baggage of inner characters that mask our true center, we dispel the confusion. We have created dramas out of our hardened memories of past experiences, and our lives have been formulas of familiarity and habit. As the creators of our own unhappiness, we have bought identity dearly at the expense of freedom, gambled for survival, bargained for our security, and our lives are forfeit. This is the compromise of the self. Initially, facing up to this is humbling and disorienting. The task feels daunting, yet this intensely human work can lead us to the highest form of human understanding. When the spiritual teacher, Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, was asked how he came to reside in the supreme reality, he answered simply that he no longer created and populated a world, a false world of his own making, because he had become undeceived. Owning the deception is humbling when we see that we ourselves have been the deceiver. We deceive ourselves and others by offloading parts of ourselves through projection. The outer world is populated with our inner projections. When self-exploration reflects us back to ourselves, we can start to work with our projections and judgments through our outward relationships. Our inner work becomes the mirror in which we see our projections, so we can own them and return them to ourselves. For example, a young man named Bob came to one of my workshops, and on the first day during a group sharing session, he looked at me and announced, "I don't think I like you." Over the next couple of days, he quietly participated, watching and taking everything in. I felt no antagonism from him and suspected that some form of quiet healing was taking place. On the third day, during the group sharing, Bob addressed me directly again. "I do like you," he said. Perfunctory statements though these are, they belied the deep inner change that had taken place. I fitted the projection of some set of internal characteristics that Bob was ready to let go of. In his quiet way, he had processed his attachment to the part of him that was hidden within his inner crowd through his dislike of me, and gently processed and released his projection. Most of us populate our world to the point of overcrowding. Memories haunt us and people from the past appear before us. Yet, we travel through life essentially alone. We can share the innermost thoughts and feelings that reside in our aloneness in intimacy with another. We can press through the inner clamor of inner characters and inhabit the core or essence at the center of ourselves, where we are grounded and genuine and experience our being. Our ability to be with ourselves provides us with a strong foundation for forming real relationships of worth, caring, and mutual understanding. But relationships require boundaries.